And I want you to tell me if you're seeing the signal that it's recording. You should see a little red dot.
I do.
Great.
I'm not seeing anything.
Don't worry about it. Do you guys, red dot? Good, thank you. So I'm gonna pause.
In another place, see if this does anything.
Let him in, Jim.
Yay! Hey! Hi!
Hey.
Okay.
Michael!
Hello, everybody.
Hey!
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Yes or no, Jim?
Look at everybody.
It was better without Cam.
Everybody.
Morning, everybody.
Oh my God. This is amazing.
Faces.
Look at this. What a fun thing. Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Everybody, this is so cool.
Ageless, right?
Chafee.
Julia.
Hi, Julia.
So many
Hey.
people.
Oh,
Great.
James Michael.
Oh,
Not
man.
surprised.
Androsh, there you are.
Look at these people.
Wow.
Hi, Solvi.
Hey,
James.
how are you, your new wife?
Hey.
Oh,
James M.
hey.
Hey, Peter, Rolina. Aloha.
So
Look at
many
this
people.
group. Wags.
There's more people here?
Coming.
They're coming in. And Kelso's. This is like this is like romper room. This is romper room.
I feel like Billy Graham. I see that.
I see the
Hey,
boat.
Nancy.
Dance.
Androsh.
The huntsman's over there.
Hello, everybody.
How did Hossman sneak in here?
They're in there.
Sorry. Sorry.
There's Bolte.
yo.
There he is.
Here's both.
Insulting me.
Hello, Mr.
Commander.
Where'd he go? There he is. Charles.
Uh-oh, it's going to get
Charles,
crazier.
Charles,
Hang on.
Charles.
Hold on to your hat. It's getting crazier.
Gallery view.
So good insane.
Hey!
Hey, guys.
Feller.
Only Wayne Watson. Apparently Bob Feller's in the islands.
Yes. They haven't closed the beaches yet.
Wayne Watson.
We can afford a green screen.
Hey, if you lived in Lamberata, you would put that in your background.
Good point. It's a fair point.
We need some organization here.
Organization's on its way. I'm just waiting for everybody to get in here.
Where is romper room? This is like we do the Brady Bunch at some point.
Brady Bunch on steroids.
Yeah, dear. Hey, Brent.
Hello, Mr.
Oh, there's Vaughn. Say, guys.
What's up?
We're so and Jim.
Here's my kid. Say hello.
Awesome.
Wayne.
Ed and Bob.
I will let me do just a official welcome. I'm so excited. I haven't had this much fun in a long time seeing all your email responses come in.
You're not a college professor.
It makes me cry to see your faces. It really does. So
If you really saw us, you'd really cry.
well, I was going to say that, Fred, but I didn't want to get too close.
I tend to do that to myself most times. So, you know.
Seriously.
See if it makes our faces brighter.
So glad to see you. Wayne, since I think you're the one on the move, you may want to mute for part of it anyway. But I'm just freaking out looking at all your faces. Wow.
We're freaking out looking at our faces.
Androsh, we'll try to wrap up for your bedtime, Androsh, okay?
You look pretty good, actually, all of you.
Thanks, Cam. You too. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good, except Bolte. Still bald. I don't know.
Yeah. Nothing up here. Just all gone. Almost all gone.
I'm going to get headphones. I think, guys, if we're all online and all have our audio in the room, it may be a little easier if you've got headphones nearby to be able to hear people more clearly.
Fred, I'll be the moderator. Thank you.
I'm your host.
And
I'm
don't
your
chew, and don't chew your ice, Fred.
You know what's interesting? When you are the host, you can actually mute participants.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
I just
Now that Fred's gone.
just help me out. Seriously, I do want to hear from everybody, and it will help to mute. But I'll try to give you a heads up, and I'm just going to call out everybody as we go through, and we'll finish up the call by singing the Brady Bunch song together. So, Cam's done a really nice new arrangement of it. It's really good.
Nice.
Lush. So yes, I want to try to mute most of the time, but I do want to go around the horn and hear from everybody a little bit. Maybe, there's how many windows? 25. Oh, now we can start. Julia Hamilton is joining the party.
I don't see her yet. I
Wait
saw her.
for it. Wait for it.
Here she is.
There she is.
I couldn't hear anything, so I restarted again.
Hello, Julia. We can hear you now.
Hello. So good seeing you.
Wow.
I was just laying down the ground rules, and so I do want to hear from everybody. There's 24 windows, 25 windows open. So if we hear 60 seconds from everybody, you do the math. So, but at the same time, I don't want to interrupt anything. I want it to be conversational, and it's already fun. We've accomplished that. So the only one that's really kind of ticking me off is Peter and Rolina Grossmeyer. They look exactly the same as they did when they toured with us.
Thank you.
Peter, when it was October when you were out in Santa Barbara, I think, and you and I got together?
Yeah, it was last April or
April
the year before. Yeah.
Okay.
So a year ago, and you treated me well on behalf of the Global Foundation.
Good.
Thank you, Kim, as well for that. We had a nice conversation.
Yeah.
What do you want to hear?
I want to hear, we'll just start with you guys. I want to hear how you're doing. Why don't you just give us a 60-second update on the Grossmeyers?
Great. Well, first, the lady.
Oh, that's difficult. But overall, we are doing fine in this crazy Corona time. We are working at home, and we are well. And the children are doing well. Our oldest daughter is pregnant of her second child, so we are grandparents, very proud grandparents. And the others are 16 and 18, and yeah, we are really doing well. You can continue.
Yeah, and in the music field, it's kind of waiting what the effect will be after the time we're going through. The good thing is that we all know that God is in control all the way. And so whatever the consequence, he'll lead us through. And that's what I'm convinced about. But, we're alive and well. Children are doing okay. We had our struggles with, health, not us personally, but also with our son being really sick after half a year ago. And things are going the right direction, and so let's keep each other's hands, and if we look around this wonderful group of people that is so dear to us, then we're so thankful again, Cam, for getting us all together once somewhere a few years ago.
And it's really great to see you all. I'm so happy. Thank you, and we love you all so very much.
The feeling is mutual. Hi, Stephanie Vaughn. What's going on?
Here we go.
Oh, wow. So good to see everybody. Just, Rolina, when you were finishing up there, I found myself just tearing up, just thinking about how great this is. And the reason that we're here is because of this guy right here. There. Cam, you're the reason that we're all here together. Jim, thank you for organizing us. But, wow, just great. I can't.
You know what, Brian, what they used to sing was, "We are the reason that Cam drives a Jag." You remember that one?
Yeah.
Hey, I drove that Jag one time from a final concert to your house I don't know where your house was. I think it was back in Thousand Oaks, and it changed my life. So, however, I did own only one of said car brand. It was a 12-cylinder that, when it was running right, was a thing of beauty. The problem was it never ever ran right. But yours was sweet.
Hey Wayne, I want you to know that I was the one that drove that out to Colorado when you drove it back.
Ooh, you got to drive it a lot longer than I did then.
I got to drive it from the repair shop back to Thousand Oaks. That was it.
Yeah, the thing that broke my back on that car was the $700 power steering hose. The hose cost $35. What they had to do to take the 12-cylinder engine apart to get to the hose, $635.
That's right.
$75.
English cars.
Okay, I got to treat this like a political debate. We got to go back to Brian and Stephanie Vaughn for a response. Finish your update, Vaughn.
We're doing great. We're here in Minneapolis area, of course. Give an update on the kids and grandkids.
So we're really close, following each other along, Peter and Rolina. We have four kids. Youngest is 18, oldest is almost 26. Our two oldest each have a baby, and our one of them is about to have their second baby. So we're going to be grandparents for the third time.
Whoa.
So, and we all just live within 5 minutes of each other, and so it's been super fun bonding as a family as we're all stuck in our homes. We've kind of done that together with our family. So yeah.
Been at Grace Church for 27 years, and just recently transitioned out of my role as worship pastor there in a new leadership role at Grace. Excited about that. But we were in France 2 weeks ago, and we missed 3 weeks ago. We missed the first round of travel restrictions by 1 day, so we got out of there just in time to come home and be quarantined for 14 days. So bless the Lord, we're all good, we're happy, so glad to see everybody.
And just want to say, I'm looking at you guys, Jim and Karen and Ryan. Wish Trisha were there, and having fond memories of making boboli pizzas.
Boboli pizzas!
When we were new.
One heck of a small group, and also a great segue. Ryan Kelly, what's going on?
Well, good morning, everybody. So not only am I the dog of Rye, but I brought Rye dog. All right, so it's just so great to see all of you. Trisha's going to pop in just a minute, but nothing to count but blessings and kids in my life, you guys. Trish and I just have the 6 kids, cheaper by the half dozen. My parents had 7, so I'm an underachiever. But you have to know when to stop. But everybody's good. The quadruplets are 23. Everybody's doing well. They're all gainfully employed. I'm a big believer in that. Our younger son, Liam, is 21. He's an active duty Marine. 2 of the quad boys are Marine reservists. A couple have been deployed, and they're back. Praise God. And then the one resident I have, besides Trisha, of course, who monitors a lot of Marine Corps Facebook and admins that stuff, is our 14-year-old Ashlyn, and she attends my school where I teach. I've been there 15 years, Oaks Christian here in Westlake Village. She's a high school freshman. She's running the joint, man. The rest of us are along for the ride. Let's just be clear. But just lots of blessings to count, you guys. Just thankful to be in a recession-resistant industry, and that we've pivoted well and being able to teach. And Cam, you're the man. I before anybody gets going down this road, Jim, I'm just going to, Cam, thank you. God bless you, and thank you. Thank you for your belief in all of us, but in me specifically. Thank you for incredible life-changing stuff as being part of Continentals. I can't even thank you enough. I'm just so grateful to you. Thank you.
Awesome. When Trisha pops in, I'll have her say hello as well. So right next to you, at least on my screen, are Ken and Nancy Wagner. It's thrilling to see you both. Honestly, it is.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Wagners?
Well, we're enjoying the quarantine here. It is not a typical springtime in the Rockies day today in Colorado Springs. It's sunny, and it's supposed to get up to almost 70. That would not be typical springtime in the Rockies. But we're enjoying it a lot. The kids are doing well. Arian turns 40 in June. I can't hardly believe that, but wow. There it is. and Carrie will be 38. Arian's here in the Springs, working for a company that Microsoft outsources their support, technical support. And even though she's not really a technical person, she's managing a bunch of engineers, if you can believe that, and enjoying it a lot. Carrie's in Ground Central these days. She's living in Astoria, Queens, New York City, and singing a lot when things are possible. Right now, she's staying at home with her dog, but they're doing well. What do you go?
What do I have to say?
Yeah.
Oh, this is my sister calling, so I'm going to take this in a minute. But well, we really are doing fine. We like to travel a lot. That takes a lot of our time, and we've been very fortunate that we have a very good friend who has gifted us with standby on United, which really helps us out as far as our traveling is concerned.
Nice.
So anyway, we've done that, and Ken still works some. He didn't say that. Did you say that?
I did. I'm still working 10 hours a week. My company won't let me retire, so.
Anyway, great to see you all, and I'll take this call from my sister, and then I'll come back. Love you.
Nancy, I was thinking about Nancy a lot the other day because that you probably saw the post on Facebook about the last KLM 747 to fly into Schiphol, and I thought, oh my goodness, how many thousands of Continentals have been on KLM 747s over the years. It's just, and meant by Willem Skonderbeck, no doubt.
Yeah.
So good. I see John Eric Woodward's name on the screen, and I'm hoping we're going to see a picture here in a second.
Here's Cindy.
If I can get my video to work.
John Eric, are you standing up?
I'm trying.
Oh,
man.
Awesome.
Brutal.
That's the segue. We're going to the Woodwards. Cindy, we'll start with you since we have a picture, and then John Eric, you can follow up. You're muted still. There
Okay,
you go.
sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I'll let him jump in when he gets. I'm so glad to see y'all. It's so fun. Thanks for including us, and I'm so glad John Eric got on because a lot of you don't know who I am. Cam introduced us to each other in Continentals. So we've been married for 35 years.
All part of the service here at Continental Singers. So introducing people.
Yeah. We have 4 children. We're in High Point, North Carolina. We're doing well. I'm actually really enjoying being at home. John Eric's very busy. He can fill you in on his role at church where we are serving. Been here for 16 years, and our 4 kids are doing very well. We have 18 up to 28. So 3 boys and a girl. My daughter's married, no grandchildren. It'll be a while, I think. And I've just started a ministry to pastors' wives, so that's very exciting. We just had our first retreat, and we had to do it on Zoom because of the new place we're in. But yeah, John Eric, can you take over?
Yeah, sure. It's man, it's great to connect with you guys. I'm sorry I can't get my video working. It'll pop up here at some point. But yeah, we've been here in High Point, North Carolina, like Cindy said, for 16 plus years now, and it's been a great place of ministry for our family. And I'll just echo again, Jim Schmidt, thank you for allowing Cindy Woodward to go to New Zealand. Otherwise, we might not have got together. So, but yeah, we're really grateful for you guys and your ministry all over the world and where y'all are. It's so great to connect. Cam, it's good to see you. So grateful for what God's doing, continuing to do through the ministry. And yeah, just excited about what the Lord's doing, and grateful for all of you.
Awesome. John, you got to get your picture fixed. We need to see
I
it.
know it. I'm going to have to go to a different device. So.
You work on that while we...
Yay!
Good man.
Good to see you.
Hey, John Eric, tell them you just transitioned in your role at church also.
Yeah, I've transitioned from primarily being the worship arts pastor to being the congregational care pastor here. So after doing primarily worship for 30 years, my heart's really changed and just doing more one-on-one counseling, small group ministry, D group, discipleship group, just on and on, just one-on-one, a lot of small group interactions with people. I'm a first responder here at our church, do all the hospital stuff. And so a lot more people engagement, which I love. And so, yeah, been a good transition for us.
Awesome. Let's jump out to the beautiful California coast to our composer friend, Tim Hossman. Say hi, Tim. Tim and Casey live in Cambria.
Hi, everybody. Half of you probably don't know who I am, but I was in Jeremiah People way back when I was 17.
Hello, and wrote all kinds of songs for Jeremiah People.
Yeah.
We all know.
Yeah.
We sing your songs.
Duh. Yeah. Anyway, it's so good to see you all. Cam was just out with us in Cambria here. He drove down and we had a nice lunch with Casey. It's great to see Chuck and Susie. Been talking to Chuck on email. Love you guys. And wow, it's just really fun to see everybody. So I live in on the coast in Cambria, and my wife and I met at Christian Artist Music when she was an assistant agent there. So Cam is the reason I met Casey. But I'm a composer and I do film and TV and documentaries. And my biggest job these days, my biggest client is to do theme parks, mostly in China, which has been kind of a bit of a challenge because the company I work with out of Burbank, they fly over there all the time, and obviously that's on hold. So I'm just in the middle of a big orchestral 6-figure budget thing for 90 minutes of background music for this theme park, and we had to cancel the orchestra session, and everything's on hold, and so it's kind of crazy, But I'm really grateful for the client and keep them busy. And my wife's in real estate, and that's also kind of crazy. She has a big home that just went into escrow, and we can't really have a home inspector in, and there's all these forms now. If anybody enters the house, you have to have disclosures, and it's just crazy. But we can't complain. So everything's good. And our oldest daughter, who lives in San Francisco, she came down just for the weekend, right when they were shutting down San Francisco, and so she's still here. She's been here for 2 weeks, and she's just going to ride it out here. So that's been nice too.
Awesome.
Anyway, great to see everybody. Love you all. Love the ones I know.
Appreciate
I'm sure I love the ones I haven't met yet.
Appreciate all your great songs and musicals and everything over the years, for sure. Tim also does the scores for our films, like that one. Little product placement there. Let me get out of there.
I have that poster around here too somewhere.
No, I'm not pushing it too hard. It's available on iTunes. So, Chuck and Susie, speaking of Jeremiah People, let's hear from the Bolties. Lovely to see your faces.
Hi, everybody. Let's see, where do we start? Let's start with the kids. Our kids also shockingly are in their 40s.
Yeah, our kids are your kids' age.
Yeah, not really, but yeah, Sage is living, and her husband and family are living in Washington, D.C. area. Sage, a year and a half ago, was promoted to become Chief Philanthropy Officer and President of the Inova Health Foundation, which is part of the multi-billion-dollar Inova work there in D.C. So it's a big deal. I mean, she was on CBS Evening News 2 nights ago, or Thursday night, which was kind of fun to see her. But they're doing great. Our youngest, Erin, lives in San Clemente, the other side of the world, with her husband, Rob. Rob is a television actor who is obviously not working. And she is a real estate agent and doing well. And they have a child who is Makai, who will be 9 here in just another couple of weeks. I don't think I mentioned Sage has 2 children, Gavin, age 11, Isley, who's a girl, age 9. And that's the kids, right? That's the kids, yeah. That's it. And us. Go ahead. Tell about us.
And us, I think some of you know that Chuck was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia a year ago and had a stem cell transplant. So he has what we call a chimerism, meaning his outsides are one person and his insides belong to his donor, for which we are forever grateful for
so
that
I can
donor.
rob a bank. If I leave blood, they'll trace to some guy in Kansas. But if I leave my skin, I'm screwed.
And we had lots of love, and Monty and Krista and Ken came out to be part of a babysitting brigade because he was doing the trendy thing of being isolated long before the coronavirus. So fortunately, he's doing well. I'm still working and doing it all online right now.
Susie is a psychotherapist, I know that, but she does all the counseling stuff over the line, online, and is doing well. And it's been interesting. Being in isolation for us, like she said, has not been terribly unusual for me. I'm particularly susceptible, so I have to be really careful. So I just kind of stuck here at home.
Yeah, but all good and so fun to see your faces.
It's great to see your face.
And Cam, again, thank you. And Jim, thank you for setting this up. Gosh, I'd love to do this about once a month just to say hi.
Yeah. And Cam, thank you again. It was great talking to you several months ago, but it was a great conversation. It's been too long since we talked, so it's great talking to you. And again, Jim, I want to add my thanks.
I liked it too.
Sure. Awesome. Great to see you. Tricia, you joined us. Tricia Kelly.
He had to unmute. Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm a little late to the party. Sorry.
How are you? What's going on? Brian gave us the basics, but tell us the real story.
The basics? I don't know. What did he say?
Yeah, because we were limited to a minute, I couldn't really do a blow-by-blow on the kids. So,
Yeah, that would take like an hour. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's good to see your face anyway.
Thank you. We're doing well. Kids are great. Everybody's healthy. I think they're all working. Yeah, all the kids are still working just because of what they do. They're essential, military and Costco and teaching. And our daughter works for Magnolia now in Waco, and she was working at home for a couple weeks, but then they brought them back just like a couple at a time because she's a photographer and they couldn't really shoot, much without being on site. So she's back at it too. So we're doing well. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, that's a great segue to Brent and Sherry Edwards.
Right, hello.
Say hi, you guys.
And happy birthday, Brent.
And
Happy birthday. We have to sing happy birthday, dear Brent. Happy birthday to you. That was horrifying.
That's all they can say together on these things, man. The staff tried it this morning, and it was not something to take on the road.
Shouldn't Cam be conducting as we're doing
Good.
it?
He should. And I expected a bigger, flair on the end, Cam, but, what can I say? I'm going to let Sherry tell about her and about the girls.
Okay, well, after living in Waco for about 8 years, we're back in Grapevine at the moment, Grapevine, Texas, and which is right by the airport, DFW airport. I'm teaching kindergarten, and so in a minute I'm going to have to leave because I was in the middle of answering, I can't figure out, parents, of course, I can't figure out this, I can't figure out this, resend the password, please. So I got to go back and do that, but it's great to see your faces. We have 2 daughters. Neither are married, so no grandkids yet. Liesel is in England. She's been working there 6 years, I guess. With the military, she's a child psychologist, and so she works with the little ones of the military families if the child is having problems. And Krista is an attorney in Dallas, about 30 minutes away.
Yeah, Liesel's gig is pretty cool. She works on 3 bases, and she lives in a home that was built in the 1600s, and it's a pretty cool thing. And we've been able to visit her many times. The reason we came here is I am now serving as came as the Vice President of Development, and within a year ended up being the president of an organization called International Commission, which has been around for 43 years and 47 years, what am I saying? And it's just been amazing. This is an organization that engages people all over the world in evangelism through a model called Operation Andrew that the Billy Graham Association used forever before their crusades. We end at the point of the thousands of people in the stadium, and we do what we do at homes around the world. And I don't say this proudly, folks, because I didn't invent it. I just got the grace from God to be able to come and be the head servant there. But we're seeing over 3.4 million decisions for Christ each of the last 3 years in one-on-one evangelism. And it's because there's a 1.4 million nationals involved in the process over the last couple of years too. It's just amazing, and it is absolute. And I'm not going to be able to finish this without crying. The guy that I'm seeing right over here, Andras, I'm meeting him for the first time today.
Oh,
That story from 1981 in Hungary is the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing. And that night is our most inspirational moment in our life.
But I have to add that the reason we'd never heard of International Commission, and Brent was doing a 6-month temporary thing with
It doesn't matter.
Baptist General Convention of Texas at a meeting, and someone came in who led trips to Hungary, and his ears perk up, and it was like, oh, we want to go. So we did sign up to go, and in the process, they decided they wanted to interview him for the job, and we'll skip all the process, but Hungary got us interested, and the address, well, I'll just say the street is Continental Drive.
Yeah, when the guy said, and by the way, the guy who interviewed
the
guy who interviewed me was a consultant for our organization, and he sent it to me, and I'm looking at 260 Continental Avenue. What are the chances? And we started talking. He said, now tell me again what your background is. I mentioned Continental singers. Cameron, I want you to very fully in. And he said, yeah, I'm pretty familiar with Continentals. I said, oh, really? Why? Oh, well, I was just out of college and I was working on the Campus Crusade staff at San Bernardino during those years. So
He remembered rehearsal camps. It was just amazing.
Cameron, I echo Mr. Ryan and everybody here and share. You guys poured into our lives and you changed our lives. And we're sitting here today doing what we're doing and just rejoicing in being with you guys.
We barely made it to 3. We barely made it to 3.
3 what?
But Cam, you and Cher brought Brent to California, and last week was 43.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Chuck, I don't know if you've ever heard, and it broke my heart, when Jim passed away, but it was Home Again, Portrait of the Family that put our marriage back together when we moved to California. And so we are a Continental story.
I didn't know that. That's pretty amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Brett.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we're going to stay with the Hungary theme. Our dear friend Andras, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you guys?
We're good. Honestly, it's great
First
to
of all,
hear.
let me tell you good morning to all the Americans and good evening to Peter and Rolina. It's 8:30 here in Budapest. Actually, I'm right in Miskolc, my parents' place. But I just want to tell you, like I replied in the email, that I'm totally honored that I can even be on this email list, that I was selected to be a part of this call. So thank you very, very much. You guys are all my heroes, the people that inspired me, that led me to the Lord and encouraged me, believed in me, former directors, former music stars that I'm still buying Solveig and Wayne's, your albums and all the kind of stuff. So it's really an honor to be here. Briefly about me, after my active years with the ministry, I moved back to Hungary, and then for temporary, I moved to Paris, France for 2 years. And before that, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Hungarian Continentals. With Cam was here and he was conducting, and we rented the most beautiful concert hall in Budapest, and Julia was here, and it was an amazing celebration. So, and I was just thinking, I think the last time I met this group of people, most of you, was in 1992 in Denver, the 25th finale. So now it's a big nostalgia feeling to see all of you, and again, I'm so honored to know you, and everything I use in my life when I work, out of work, is what I learned from all of you. So it's an honor. We're all healthy. We're doing good. These are crazy times, but our faith is strong, and we press on. Thanks again that I could be here.
Well said. Great to see you. Well, then we have to go to Julia Hamilton. Here's a Kleenex.
Thank you.
Hello, Julia.
Hello. We're waiting to have coffee together again. So
We will. We will.
we're hoping for May. I had plans to go back to Hungary in May, but that I started looking at things and changed that. And I think it was just that day when everything really started falling apart here. So I'm at home in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm alone here, which is a different thing. About 6 months ago, I lost my husband, Bob Hamilton, after a long illness. And we had 27 years of a great marriage together. He was a physician, I was a musician. We had a card that said, "I'm healing for the body and the soul." So we were, I learned a lot from him, and my life was very full and rich with Bob. And so being alone here, I'm learning a lot of new things about myself. And I try to stay in. Except for one day a week, I go out, and I'm filming at our church where I still work. So we film a traditional service. And about 5 years ago, they built a beautiful chapel there. And it's very nice because it's a place where you can go as you get older and continue to do your music. And so we have more of a traditional format there. So I do all the programming and for that. And I have a young, great, gifted worship leader I work with. And we do 2 services there, and just a lot of blessings from my work. Otherwise, I've got 2 kids that live here. Austin and Shelta live close by. And I'm so thrilled they were 7 and 9. My husband was widowed before. Okay. And so they were 7 and 9 when Bob and I got married. And so we've had a very blessed relationship. They live close by. They both love the Lord, and they're serving in ministry. And 2 not great, but wonderful grandchildren, 2 and 4, and they both were on Zoom Spanish preschool meetings this morning, if you can imagine. Isn't that great? So I'm very blessed, and it's just to see you all. There's so many memories, and my life was impacted so much by the people I'm looking at people who believed in me and gave me opportunities. And so thank you very much. It's a great blessing to see you and to see how God has touched all of our lives through this. Thank you, Cam.
Well,
love you all.
We love you too a lot. And Karen and I love Bob very much. Bob was a truly good man. Like there are people that are just good people to the core, and that was Bob. So blessing.
Thank you.
We love
Thank
you.
you.
I'm gonna jump to Eric Hobbs, sitting quietly there. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Jim. Boy, this is awesome. It is amazing that none of us has gotten any older. Unbelievable. I'm holed out at home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, not that far from you, Steph and Brian, right? And sometimes feeling old, right? Until I see these faces and think back on those wonderful times together that so many of us had. I looked at that invitation list that you sent, Jim. Wow, what a who's who of friends over time. Cam and Dearshare, well, how awesome to see you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's terrific. I'm still practicing law. I haven't gotten it right yet. I do labor and employment work for a firm that's based actually in Atlanta and Greenville, South Carolina. There's a story behind that. I've been doing that since I left Continentals and left law school. I'm still as involved as I possibly can be in music at church and in the community. I have a wife who's a recovering nurse. She's been out of the hospital now for about 20 years, but is considering going back. If we're going to add items to prayer lists, that would be one, please. That scares the heck out of me.
Yeah.
But you do what God called you to do, and then you trust Him to take it to the next step. And we let the chips fall, and we look forward to seeing what He's going to do in that respect. 19-year-old son who is just recently unemployed, as are so many others. Graduated from high school and then began working 3rd shift in plastics manufacturing. Actually, my dream for him, of course. So we're trying to encourage him as a result of that to take a greater interest in going back to school. And in time, we hope that'll happen. We adopted him from Guatemala when he was 8 months old back in 2001. So Brenda and he and I are learning to love each other even more because we see each other constantly now in these very odd days. But boy, I'm trying to value that family time as much as I possibly can. have parents who live not far from here. They're in their late 80s. Mom will turn 90. Brenda's dad is just south of us in Illinois. He just turned 100 in November and is still going like a banshee. He's just remarkable. And this is a huge part of my life and my history. And I mean, so many have said thank you already. I'll add to that chorus. I know Cam's disappeared, but thank you, Cam. Thank you, Cher. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Fred. I mean, so many of you, dear friends, but also mentors to me in so many ways. I think of the exponential growth in my walk with the Lord over those years. The time, of course, learning music and how to do it well was terrific. But learning to walk more closely with Christ and knowing him better was the real prize of it all. And I'm so grateful to you all for being a part of my life. I love you dearly. Miss you very, very much. Lots of you. So many stories to tell.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Great seeing you, Eric. Really is.
Thanks.
Wayne, you came back. Tell us what's going on.
I couldn't stay away. Oh, hold on. I'm muted, I think.
No, you're good now. I unmuted you.
There? Am I there? Okay.
I have that unique power.
First of all, I got hurt last night while I slept. I woke up hurting. How do you do that? I am going to be the irreverent episode here, probably because I'm running errands. I'm driving over the Golden Gate Bridge, as you can see. So how cool is that? I always wear seatbelts when I'm in San Francisco, just because it seems like a good thing to do. Real quick, I couldn't fit the thoughts that are going in my head in 30 minutes, much less a minute. First time I ever corresponded with Cam, I was 15 years old. I tried out for Continentals. My parents wanted me to go. My dad corresponded, and we'd never heard the name Cam before. And he said, he wrote a letter, "Dear Miss Floria," and I'll never forget that. So that was our introduction. Again, too many stories. Neil, my oldest, 43 as of Sunday. As of April 1st, he's in jail. And Adam is my 39-year-old. He's a garbage collector. No, wait a minute, that's not right. Wait, no, Neil is in Nashville, and he works for a sound company called Crystal Taylor Systems, and they install systems in theaters and arenas and stuff like that. He has 3 boys, 17, 15, and 12. Adam just moved to Covington, Louisiana, taking the position of worship pastor at First Baptist, Covington, Louisiana, outside of New Orleans. This little guy in the back, wave. That's my little 6-year-old. He's not my grandson. He is my son.
And show them the puppy.
Oh, and we have a puppy. We're going to a drive-through vet appointment. We're going to literally hand the dog through the window and wait until they put mustard on him and hand him back, or whatever they're going to do. So we're doing that. The little guy back there, we adopted him when he was 1 day old, and he's just turned 6. I didn't know if I could do it or not. I'm 65, and I cannot imagine life without him now. He is he's just amazed me. He's taught me how much God loves me, in spite of everything. I'm on staff at a church here in Houston. I do 1 service a week. We're doing recording services now. I don't have an office or a staff. I don't want either. I work from home, write from home, record from home. Still do some dates here and there, but as you know, that's come to a halt as well. So there's so many things I could say to Cam and to Cher and everybody. I just don't have time. If I get started, I won't shut up. Great to see your faces. Your name's Chuck. I'm so glad to see you up and around. Been worried about you. On the downside, I lost my sight in my right eye last year from multiple surgeries that didn't work. And you're like, why are you driving over the Golden Gate Bridge then? That seems dangerous. I can still see out of my left eye, but just, stuff happens. And I learned about grace and peace through it all. And sometimes I get angry and sometimes I get bitter, like everybody else. There are good days and bad days, but most of all, though I've been challenged in some of the things I believe, I know God is faithful, and I love him more than I ever have, because I've heard he was good. I heard he was good, but I didn't know how good until some darkness. So I'm thankful for that even. So I will jump off that drive through and say how much I love you and appreciate you setting this up. And if you ever do it again, I'll try to be home. So that's it for me, Jim.
And
Cam.
silver dog.
Okay, well, I don't think that.
Awesome. Wayne, you get the award for comedy today. Thank you.
That's for
much.
sure.
And Ryan Kelly, I told you somebody would bring a dog into this at some point, right?
Okay, wait a minute. He wants me to show you the dog. Okay.
Tell him not to fall in the water.
Hey, don't
I had a
leave us,
145.
though. Don't leave us. You can just visit.
I am going to mute you though, because your line is the noisiest.
Oh.
With this, awesome. Man, funny. Good comedic timing. Right, Chafee, you're sitting there with a kind of a smirk on your face, like you usually do when you're talking to me. Jim and Solveig.
It's good to see all of you. Everybody's been thanking Cam, but I guess I can thank Cam for this woman that's sitting next to me, because it's because of him that we met.
Amen.
I can remember. I can not just remember. I can visualize the day you came into prayer that day, when you came back from LeBron, and said, "I've heard this fantastic young girl from Norway she's just great, and we're going to bring her over next year to sing at Estes Park." And so little did I know at that point in time that we would end up married years and years later with full lives behind us, even before we started. So that's great. I'm going to let her talk about what she's doing.
Sure. Let's do the kids. Or do you want to?
You can talk about kids.
So we have 5 kids combined. I have 3 children from my first marriage. David is 27. He's in Austin, Texas. And Kari was supposed to get married today. She's 25, lives on the East Coast. So the wedding is postponed, but they will be tying the knot soon. But we'll get to celebrate when all of this is settled. And we have John living at home. He's 19, and he's been a lacrosse coach and laid off for he's been responsible for a team of about 35, 40 boys.
Yeah.
And he's also a college student, and everything, of course, is online right now. And then we have our beautiful big boys in Brooklyn, New York. So our heart's very much in New York these days with Elliot, married to Marissa, and we have a grandson, Andre, who's almost a year. He'll be a year this summer. And then we have Taylor, also there in Brooklyn. He's 34. Elliot's 36 now.
Yeah.
And everyone's healthy, but all of our 5 kids have been laid off. So we're one of the families that have been really hit in that way. But as far as we can tell, everyone is in good spirits, and we're staying strong in contact with everyone. And
tell where you were with us.
So I was on tour when the coronavirus restrictions started really being implemented. My daughter Kari and I have been touring together more in the last few years. My gingerhead, and we landed in Norway on the 26th of February. The first show was supposed to be on the 27th, and that was when they detected the first corona victim or virus infected person in Norway. The tour was shut down when the whole country closed on March the 12th, and on the 13th we were able to get back into New York. Also landed about an hour and a half before the first closure happened, so we made it back, and was not able to do one of the concerts, which was going to be in the Northern Light Cathedral of the very north of Norway, above the Arctic Circle. We're hopeful that we can
Go back and do that.
go back and do that in the fall. We have have about 2 months of touring in August and September that are still fairly much intact. So we're hopeful for that. And so as you know, everyone who's in the arts and music right now, it's a very unique time. And so this is my work. So we're trying to figure out how to do maybe some more things from home and to contribute in whichever way that God makes clear. So.
And my work is, when I left the record label in 2001, I started an artist management company. And then that kind of morphed into authors and speakers. And so for the last, well, I've been in business, I've had my own company now for 20 years. And I'm predominantly doing booking for speakers and authors. I've got about 30 clients I work with. And then I've been, about 6 years ago, started partnering with some of my clients to do conferences. And so we're supposed to, I have a conference we've been doing for 2 years now called Evolving Faith. And we had 2,500 people at it in Denver last year. We did it at DU. And I've got Joy Fletcher, Toblerman Fletcher, who works with me on those events. And Craig Ellsworth works with me on those events. And so we're all working together again. And we're scheduled to do it in Houston this year at the Convention Center on the 1st and 2nd of October. But, you know, like everything, everything is kind of up in the air right now. You know, we're both in events, and so everything stopped about 3 weeks ago. So we're just trying to beat the bushes and keep things going. So
may I add a couple of things? Jim, as you most all of you know, what a great chef he is. So we have actually a pretty great situation here at home. I eat better than I've ever done in my whole life after marrying this guy here. And I just wanted to say also, Chuck, it's incredibly good to see you.
Yeah.
And we've been worried about you and prayed for you. Cam, thank you so much again for the chance that you gave me when I was 18. I'll never forget it. To run and it would have felt like a fairy tale, and my life changed forever because of you. For what all this week has created and what you've been a part of. I'm indebted forever. And when we get to heaven, my, what a joy that's going to be, right? And we get to, not that we're going to get to heaven quite yet, but we'll have many more years. We'll all have many more years. But I think about that. I draw joy from thinking about those things. That gives me strength, actually, because we do have a lot of people that have gone before us, and there's a joy. There's a joy that I find in hope, that in the invisible things, and those things that that Jesus only can do in what's hard. He can create hope and sustain us in the hard times. So we have that hope.
And this May, we've been married 11 years. So it's, time goes by, you know. So anyway, it's fantastic to see all of you. I love you all very much. You've all had a huge impact in my life.
That's awesome.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Loved it when we were together in California, Jim, and you sat down with Karen and I, and you went, I'm in love. It was just awesome. It's just one of the great moments.
At the 40th. I was at the 40th.
Yeah. So awesome. So, Cam, where did you first hear Solveig?
Me? Oh, I heard her at the Christian Artist Seminar in Estes Park, and we were in the concert, and here came this little blonde thing with this big guitar, and she just worked that guitar. I mean, she was strong on it, and every guy in the room, his knees were shaking. Just couldn't believe how beautiful she was and how well she sang. And so as soon as the concert was over, I found her manager and said, "You're coming to Colorado?" And they said, "Okay." And there we go.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah, and I had about 3 people text me to say I married way over my head. So I agree with you all.
Yeah, it kind of goes without saying.
You know, didn't we all? Yeah.
Joe and Avi Huntsman. How are you guys?
Hi, wow. What an honor to be among this group today. It's incredibly special for us looking around. Cam, thank you so much for believing in me and for opening the door for me to meet my beautiful wife of 25 years here. And I'm just looking around. Jim and Solveig, it's been good to run into you all a couple times over the last year. Chuck, it is so good to see you up and about. My first Continental tour was to Hungary with Julia and Andras, and such, the stories we have of the ministry that took place over that week, I still tell. It was just incredibly rich. And John, Eric, and Cindy, it was so awesome to be your assistant on that New Zealand tour. It's just incredibly special to be here on this call today. So we live in East Tennessee. I'm a partner in 3 different healthcare companies. Avi's a nurse practitioner, and we've got 3 beautiful daughters. They sing beautiful 3-part harmony together. They'll just pop out at random, and I just absolutely love it. But
he has something to do with that. He kind of makes them do it.
Wow. Grace is a freshman at Charleston Southern University. Audrey is a junior in high school, and Kate is a freshman. So it's just an honor to see all of you and be with you today. Over to you.
Well, I kind of have to echo what everybody else said. Cam, I'm grateful to you. I just had to think of a little story, but it involves actually Ryan and Trisha Kelly, and they may not remember, but one morning they were in my parents' house. My dad is called Schneider in Switzerland, of course, and I was cutting cheese for the breakfast, like my mom told me, and I was a very young teenager, and I cut my finger talking to you all, and I still have the scar to prove it. So you've impacted my life long before I went on tour. And thank you again for that opportunity. Changed my life. And then, of course, he changed my life later when he came back to Switzerland in '92. But thank you, Cam. We love you. We owe everything to you. We're just very, very I would have never met him without you, for sure. So thank you.
You're welcome. A lot of that going
How
around.
how is your dad, Avi? How is Kurt?
My parent, he's going to be 78 in May. He's doing well. My parents have been divorced for about 16 years now, but I still have 9 siblings, and we're all crazy, of course. Unfortunately, I just lost my youngest brother March 1st, and actually I flew over as Trump closed the border, and within 28 hours I had to be on a plane back and had to leave in the middle of his funeral. That was hard. I missed my family. But it's good to be here. He wanted me back really bad, so he got me on the next
She left JFK, and 90 minutes later, Trump made the announcement, so we scrambled to get her on a flight back. Wow. That was before we knew what the band meant. He just, so.
Wow.
I enjoyed working with your dad, and I had no idea you were married to Joe.
Oh, really?
Nice surprise. Your dad was great. We had several tours together there with him.
Most of us have had great experiences there.
I don't know all of you, but I remember, I think it was the Vaughns that came to our tour in 1989. Tim Gilchrist died. I think you all came to support us. Do you remember that? Okay. Yeah. But it's good to see everybody. And I got to meet a couple more of you because of our the LA event, when we went for Jim's memorial service.
It was good to see several of you.
It was great.
So,
great.
Thank you for this, Jim and Karen. Appreciate it.
It's so many great experiences with your dad. I was there with Segway, Fred Human, in 1979. Fred, tell us what's going on.
I'm going to try to be brief. I tried to run out and get a glass of ice so I could chew in front of Cam, but I didn't do that.
Yeah, I was on your tour and I heard all your invitations. I'm going to be brief, but do your best.
Dear Jesus. Yeah, well, anyway. Well, let's start with the boy. Joel is 28. Yeah, scary. He is in LA. He just moved there in September. He graduated from Belmont with a degree in commercial music and comp and arranging, and then immediately got signed by Sony ATV as a staff writer. And after 3 years, the guys in Nashville realized they couldn't really promote pop music, so they had to let him go. And he's been doing all kinds of different things, continues to do writing and singing. But again, like everybody else, you know, the event business, the music business, when you're driving Lyft and leading Segway tours of LA to support your music habit, all of a sudden stuff dries up. So he's in Silver Lake, just near Dodger Stadium. Talked to him yesterday. You know, God's in control. He's figuring out. If you want to check it out, j.human on Apple Music. Is about 6 cuts on there. Wrote, produced. You know, he's got more music than the old man. He got the whole degree and got it done. Judy is leading the office at Artists and Christian Testimony, Byron Spradlin's organization. Our ministry has been under that since we moved back from England years ago. So she is the office. So there's generally only 1, maybe 2 people in there at any time. So she goes from here, gets out of the car to an empty building, into an empty office, does her thing, and then comes back. That's been happening the last couple of weeks. I was so thrilled a couple months ago walking out of an event in the Nashville arena to run into Julia.
That was a nice.
That was just boom. I mean, literally ran into her, and been in touch with so many of you. Who was I? Oh, Feller. Then I got to surprise Bob Feller by showing up at one of his rehearsals, and I got to tell you, it was a masterclass in running a rehearsal. A guy who's working with us in Ukraine, his wife manages the music department pretty much at Biola. And I says, Bob's rehearsal on? Yeah, we're going to sneak in. So it was astounding. And Bob, I've already used some of those things off your wall with our people in Ukraine. It's just been very, very cool. And I'm spending most of my time sitting in here, but living in Ukraine. The last 7 years, we've been working with the Ukrainian Evangelical Theological Seminary, working with their music department and turning it into a music and worship department. I'm teaching worship studies. I got my master's 4 or 5 years ago, trying to finish this doctorate. If I can get this paper done before the 1st of May, I will go into my thesis prep June 1. And it's been amazing to see God open those doors. In fact, just before we engaged in conversation here, I had a chat with one of the teachers in Kiev, you know, on the iPad on the other side of the room. And it's been so marvelous to be able to work with Share and Compassion Radio and stuff they've done. They donated a major chunk of Norm's library to the seminary, and it's revolutionized what they've done. It's been very, very cool. And I spar with Harkro or he spars with me on Facebook. I'm looking at all these faces. Chuck, thanks for your email lately. It's just been great to see you and hear your voice. Spend time with John, Eric, and Cindy. Oh, I'm forgetting all kinds of folks. Chafee, you just live across town, but we never see each other except in Costco. We can't go there anymore.
If you're over 60, you can go before 7 o'clock.
It's true. Been there, done that. But if you don't line up, I went to the Publix here in Fieldstone.
Yeah.
10 minutes after 7, there was one thing of paper towels left because they'd been queued. The seniors had been queued up for an hour before the 7 o'clock thing.
Yeah.
It's just insane. So I'm minding my own business, sitting at a conference in Calvin University now, end of January, sitting at a table with this Ukrainian gal, another guy from Ukraine, somebody from maybe Holland, and then this gal from Puerto Rico. Everybody's talking and sharing around the building. And this gal from Puerto Rico starts to tell the story of a concert she was doing with the group she was touring with. And I look at her and I said, you wouldn't be talking about Continentals, would you? You know the Puerto Rico. You can't go anywhere without running into somebody who's been there. I used to say it's all the same 60 people. Maybe it's all the same 60,000 people. And they just keep moving around. God's done some amazing things in this process. Even in the last couple of days, Cam, I wonder if you remember this book or Share.
What's it? Oh.
Youth Rally Songs and Choruses.
I didn't
Al
see
Smith,
that.
and on the back is the Youth for Christ theme song.
What is it?
Youth for Christ and Christ for Youth.
Okay.
Youth for Christ and Christ for Youth.
Okay.
And Christ for Me is in there. One of the fun side things I've been able to be a part of, Lester Ruth is a professor at Duke, and he is a professor of the history of Christian worship. And Lester is writing the history of contemporary worship music. and he's looking at presence on one side and purpose on the other, and he's starting to write about Youth for Christ. So last night, I've been telling him that there's an important link between Youth for Christ and contemporary Christian music, but also with contemporary worship music. So last night, I had to take pictures of the cover of an album to send him, because these songs are all in that book. And including, I mean, you and this is Thurlow's thing, but Youth for Christ, Decade of Destiny. The trumpet player on the back here's name was Gardner.
You're not going to do like a whole record pitch, are you, Fred? I mean,
no, because you can't afford these. Anyway, this was. No, I have a target on my back. I've had it all my life. I'm happy with it.
And I am aimed right at you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And Jim tends to do that every time I post anything on Facebook. So guys, I got to say two things. One, Wayne, 1971, July, changed my life. I was 15, you were 16. It was Oregon, Ohio. And I was the only person to come forward in the last verse of the last song, stumble over my then girlfriend and make my way to the front. And you said, "Hi, I'm Wayne Watson. Let's talk." And
wow,
that day set something that's still going. And I'm so very grateful. One of the fun things in recent years is to see Wayne, I had lunch with Gain and Karen Aneker when I was out in LA in September, and Gain was a part of that tour again, and see other people who are part of that. And so would I be sitting here without that? No. And Cher, thank you for getting the chance to get to know you as maybe a peer after you were Cher. In these days. Thank you for your generosity and your involvement in what we do. And Cameron, in spite of the abuse, thank you.
Listen, I have to tell you that there's a good bridge between Youth for Christ and contemporary music, because Ralph Carmichael, who really is the father of contemporary Christian music, was the leader at Winona Lake, the convention, the big YFC convention. So there you go. That's the connection.
And that's what I hope comes out in this book. The book will be out probably end of this year, beginning of next year. And Lester's very thorough about it. So he's been I know he's talked to Thurlow. I've suggested he's talked to you, and I'm trying to get him with Ralph. But anyway, God's doing some cool things. We get a chance to tap into what we are all a part of. And I'm so grateful for all of your investment, all of your involvement, all of your friendships. And I hope it will continue.
Let me just say real quickly, if I could, that there are two truths here. One is we have all gotten older. We've all got, and that's very clear. We're all gotten older. Second truth is that Fred Heumann can turn 1 minute into 10 like nobody else.
And it'll feel like 30.
It's a gift. It's a gift. I don't know if it's a gift, but it's a talent.
Is this the pot calling the kettle black? Just remember Florida, Chuck. Just remember Florida.
I'm sorry. I take everything back, Fred. I take everything back.
I've been counting.
Fred, how's Judy?
The comedy relief, Chuck. Thank you. Perfect timing. Bob Feller. When I think of music degrees, I think of Bob Feller.
I'm sorry.
Hey, just a side note, I should have mentioned Julia is one of my CGF board members. Really excited to have her, and then some of the others are as well, and we'll get to them. But I wanted to say thanks to Bob and those that participated on the first Continental Leadership Roundtables. It was phenomenal stuff, Bob. It was really great. I hope you've all seen that. If you haven't, it's on Facebook. Find the link. And yeah, it's really amazing. We've got more of those coming, and actually today is really kind of one of those. This is a virtual Continental Leadership Roundtable today, so welcome to it. But Bob, good to see you.
Well, first of all, as I look across the screen and I see all your faces, it's just humbling to be part of this, and I'm very honored and very thankful to be here and be able to talk with you guys and see you guys and hear your wonderful stories. There's no doubt that Continentals has made an impact on all of our lives. I don't think there's a day that goes by that I'm not able to use what I learned through Continentals, and I'm truly thankful for that, and am very, very appreciative of what an impact
Cam, I look back at that and scratch my head and cannot believe that you took a risk on a young kid, and very humbled to be part of this today. I've been at Biola for 33 and a half years.
Whoa.
I started when I was 15. I met my wife on Continentals. She was a lighting technician on my last 2 years, and I had the wonderful privilege of marrying my best friend. And we've been very, very happily married for 27 years. We have a 26, 24, and a 22-year-old at home. And it's been a blast. I've got a son-in-law. My oldest daughter married a guy that we just love him to death. It's really awesome. My son worked with John at Biola for a year and a half and realized that he would rather be out in the world working in the film industry than going to school. And he loved working with John Schmidt. It was really great for him.
Cool.
And then my youngest daughter is a commercial music major at Biola. My wife works for the Long Beach Fire Department, and with all this COVID-19 stuff going around, she's been working overtime, which I'm thankful, because someone's got to make money in the middle of all this. And she's doing great.
Awesome.
I do want to say one thing, that I have a reoccurring nightmare that comes around probably once or twice a month. And in that nightmare, I am back on the road with Continentals directing a tour. And for some reason, I cannot get to the stage on time, and the concert starts without me.
Oh,
That's awesome.
I could go into more details, but that's the gist of basically what every single nightmare is. I can't find my tuxedo, and so I get in a taxi cab to go back to my apartment to get it, and the taxi goes the wrong way, and I'm watching it, 6:45, 6:50, 7 o'clock, crap, missed the downbeat.
Oh my gosh.
I had those for years too, Bob.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, looking for my purse, my makeup, my clothes,
Wow.
everything.
The worst part about that is just thinking about going back on the road at this age as a director.
Yeah.
You have nothing, nor has your iconic mustache.
I remember it.
You're the only guy, along with David Hastings, that ever wore tails at a Continental concert. So you didn't need that formal, actually.
Oh, wow.
Overachiever, right?
They were good-looking tails. White coat, no.
Let's. I respect the fact that you may have to drop out because you have so many things to do. Well, let's face it, you have nothing to do, and you're going to stick around as long as this thing keeps going. So otherwise, you'll be back sharing funny cat videos on Facebook. So but seriously, I respect that, and I do want to get to everybody if we can. Mike Harcrow, tell us what's going on. I had a blast seeing Karen and I did a year and a half ago in Pennsylvania. So fun to visit. And Mike, gosh, we did so many tours together. I 3, I guess. And you did one with Karen, with Mahoney.
Right.
Awesome. So it's great to see your face again.
Thank you. Good to see you guys. Thank you for believing in me then. Thank you, Cam, for taking over that belief and sending me far away for it. I kind of wish Larry Sparks was here so I could bust his chops for that dreadful first tour I was on in 1983. But anyway, just to let you know where I am, I made some high-tech graphics. That's me. I live near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I teach at Messiah College. See, I'm really ready for this. I've been here at Messiah for 14 years teaching music. My wife, Namju, I met her in Korea when I was working there with the Korean Continental Singer. She's upstairs working. She's got 2 groups of Korean lady friends that pray together each week, and she's up there doing that. Our daughter, Johanna, is 25, and she graduated from Messiah a few years ago. And at her young age, she is the accounts manager for the Sight and Sounds Theater Company. They have big theaters in Branson and Lancaster, and she's so young. I don't know how she got this job, but she's good at it. So, and she lives nearby. She lives about 10 minutes from us and commutes into Lancaster every day to do her work. So what's been happening with me lately? About 3 years ago, just through some changes, spiritual changes that need to happen in my life, students at the college started knocking on my door and asking for advice and asking to pray with me. And suddenly I was a mentor. And I began writing daily devotionals based on my Bible studies. That has become a blog. Some of you may have seen it. It's nothing I ever expected to do, nothing I'm trained to do, but I will say that my discipleship came through Continentals as a young Christian on my first tour. The real first Christian discipleship I had was with Continentals. And even now in my blog, I'm probably plagiarizing Continental songs all the time because the lines of spiritual truth that I remember come from the Continental songs. And that's what's in my head and my heart all the time. So we are these little tile screens. I'm seeing those every day because I teach music theory at the college and we are doing it all online now. So this is not unfamiliar, but this is a wonderful, wonderful blast from the past and an amazing encouragement to me. So thank all of you for the input and impact you've had in my life. It's great to be with you.
As you guys probably remember, Mike pioneered the Korean Continentals, also directed the Japanese Continentals, and just a great friend and a great leader. So.
And they're still going, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that awesome?
Japan looks a little different now. Some of the original leaders in Japan have their own ministry, right. And a lot of those original tour members are ministering in their own small churches there. But the amazing thing in Korea is that, I mean, Korea's had a little bit of a roller coaster, but they're burgeoning. And a lot of the guys and gals from the very first tour are the Christian artists in Korea now. They're the big names.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's awesome. I want to go to another CGF board member, Liz Selleck, down in Louisiana. How are you, Liz?
Hey, can you hear me? I was a little low earlier. Hey, everybody. Yes, I'm going to try to get through this without crying. I'm a crier. So I had to get up and go get some tissues. So Cher and I will just sit here and cry for everybody. Wow. Amazing. These faces, every one of you, you had an impact on my life. All of you. So this is amazing. I love it. So most of you know I'm from Ventura. I grew up in Ventura. I really did. That's my hometown. And but I married a Baton Rouge guy. And so almost 2 years ago, we moved back to Louisiana. And so we're here. We've been married for 30 years this month. And we have 4 kids. We have 3 sons and a beautiful daughter. And crazy enough, they all are here with us. We didn't plan for that to happen, but it just happened. They all, a couple of them moved down here to be with us. My husband is in construction. He builds. And so we've thankfully been able to continue working through all of this. And he and my son our oldest son worked together. And I did a lot of things in California when we were there. We were there for 20 years, and then before we moved here. But I've done a lot of things over the years, lots of music, lots and lots and lots of music. And I did real estate for a while in California, and just really blessed. Our kids, our oldest son was one of the kids that went on the last Continental tours, summer tours that we ever had before we shut our offices down. So that was just kind of a personal blessing to me that he was able to do that. I don't know what to say. I'm like the rest of you. I could talk for hours, right? But I suppose one of the biggest blessings to me is being a member on the board, the CGF board, the Continental Global Foundation board. That is something I absolutely love and consider a great honor. And allows me to talk to people across the globe on a regular basis. One of the things that resulted when we closed down the office in Ventura, which I largely was responsible for, so is that I ended up with all the music. So if you don't know that, I'm the one that has it. I have all those black file cabinets that were in the office. They're here with me in Louisiana. So I frequently provide music for people and for our international directors. And so I get a chance to talk with them and communicate with them regularly. And I love that, because I just love what Jim calls the ripple effect, which is how the ministry has continued all these years. So many people think it's gone and it's kind of, ran its course here in the United States, and that may be true, but in other parts of the world, it is astonishing. And so I love keeping in touch with those people and seeing what's going on. And so I love you all. I just love seeing all your faces. Some of you I see regularly, but a lot of you I haven't seen in so long. Oh my gosh, I could go through every single square and talk about every single one of you. So thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for what you do on the music side, and it is amazing. We talk about the ripple effect and what's happening with all the groups. You know that we had more Continental groups this year out of Romania than any other country in the world.
Wow.
The first time we took a Continental group to Romania was in '84, the tour that I directed, and Liz was there in '85, the following year with John Merrick, I think, right? Was that you guys? Yeah.
Yep.
And now we have more. And a few months ago, those of us in Southern California went to see them at a Romanian Baptist church in Placentia, California, 5 minutes from the house I grew up in. It's just so weird. We had Kelsos were there, and we just had such a blast. But it is really amazing to see what's happening around the world.
Jim?
Yeah.
I have 1 minute left, and I'm going to be out of power. My granddaughter has my charging cord.
Then talk. Take your minute. I'm sorry.
I just want to say this is so wonderful. I love you all. I lost you for so many years. And Cam, thank you for letting me come back and find them again. I know I have more interconnection with the Continentals.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
That's it. Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Liz has all the music. I have all the itineraries.
I want to see that.
In 1968.
Oh, you know what, Nancy? When I was going through the office, when I went through everything, and I saw all of your files, everything. I mean, just the years and the years, and all those itineraries, and and I'm such a sucker for nostalgia. I had to look at everything, so I had to read everything, and so
Nancy,
I saw you all over the place.
when Liz was there when we did a reunion a couple of years back with our bunch of people brought their itineraries so we could sit and look through them. It was great. So they've held on to them, as have we. Sherry doesn't get rid of anything, so we still have them all. They have Nancy notes on them.
Oh.
Nancy notes.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on. I'm so sorry to lose Cher. I'll connect with her, and we'll have a conversation so that she can say what she wants to say to everybody. So I'm really, really sorry about that. Monty and Krista, Karen and I are blessed to get to see you guys a lot, and it's one of the great parts of my life to be able to work with Monty at Slingshot Group, and we just we reminisce often about the length of and the depth of our friendship over the years. So love you guys. It's great to have you here. What's going on with the Kelsos?
Yeah, good to see everybody. I'm always looking for the silver lining in anything, and even in this coronavirus, the silver lining is virtual connectivity, and to be able to connect with you all is the highlight of my week, if not month. And that's part of the good that comes out of this is we've got the time, the technology to connect again. And when I think about fruit of ministry, I think, first of all, what are the roots of it? And I think we all experience good roots because of what we experienced at Continentals. And I know that was the roots of my ministry history and finding my bride and finding my exit out of Indiana. Not that that's the best part of it, but I mean, we found a place where we could dig deep roots here in Southern California. We're still here in Orange County, and the fruit's prolific. I mean, it's pretty tasty, and you know, even in these tough times, if we look hard enough, we can see it. You know, just every place we look, there's fruit, and so much of that I attribute to my experience at the Continentals. And I tell people just all the time that my greatest education was not my formal education, but was my real life education on the road and the years that we got to experience together with Continentals. And so I'm so grateful. But I think because we're in Southern California, we get to intersect more with people from the roots of the past. And being a raging 7 on the Enneagram, of course, I'm looking for a party anywhere, show up. Even if it's to babysit Chuck, we partied hardy, huh? But I mean, we've all just got so many gratitude stories. And here's the cool thing. I mean, it's not even close to being over. And I would love to see that we continue to engage and connect, because I think we're better together, you know, as we're working in ministry and life, because of those deep-seated roots that we share together that really defined in so many ways who we are. And of course, you know, God's at the center of that. I mean, he's who nourishes us forward, but I'm just grateful to be here. Krista can give a fly of boys and their families. And
You don't say anything about
part of playing out, you know, your life, for me, it's always following the breadcrumbs. Don't strategize to the point and go, kill yourself to make something happen. Rather, just follow the breadcrumbs of God's daily bread. And that's what Slingshot Group became for me 13 years ago. It's crazy. So it's a staffing and coaching firm targeting churches and nonprofits, helping them build remarkable teams. So I'm in my sweet spot, and like Jim said, we serve together in that. And it's funny, intersecting with the church on so many different levels, so many different grids, not on the front lines anymore. But there is like that 2 to 3 degrees of separation with Continentals in the church, and it makes me proud to know that I got to be a part of that for a season. So, Krista, tell them about the fam.
Okay. So we have 2 sons, 30, 28, 26, and the 2 are married. 1 grandson named Captain, he's 3. And sadly, we don't get to see him right now. And just because of all this. And, but he's definitely one of the greatest joys of our lives. For myself, I'm on a sabbatical actually 4 years ago, started a ministry called Be Free Indeed that we come alongside folks who are struggling with depression and anxiety. It's part of my own story of 30 years and over 30 years. And but I took a sabbatical this year, and Jim, you'll be real proud of me. The book is in motion big time. So I get to tell my story, and it's not my story. I'm going to have about 8 stories of people that have gone through the ministry and are finding freedom and walking with mental health issues in freedom and fruit. So yeah, super excited. Going to finish that, I hope, by the end of the year.
Yep.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Jim encouraged me to do that a few years ago.
Chafee,
yes.
Sorry.
That's all right. We're
very glad to hear it's coming about. That's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I want to get to Cam pretty soon, but a couple things first. Bob and Danette Farrow, we want to hear from you. Unmute. Here, I can unmute you. I have the power.
Hi, everybody. I'll tell you that the impact of this to us as a whole. Think about how incredible this is that we all get to see each other, and we would not have this time if it weren't for this stupid virus. So all the blessings that are going to come out of this are going to be the abundance of being able to reconnect and reacquaint ourselves with people that we just don't have, we just don't have the time because we're so friggin' busy. And I love it that we're just taking the time now to do the things, reconnect the way God would want us to reconnect. This is beautiful. And I'm so proud of all of you on this page. The works that you have done in Jesus' name are amazing. And sitting back and watching from what's been called the beginning, I feel like a grandparent here of this movement. And I realized that out of those 65,000 people that are the 65,000 plus Continental singers, that there were just a few that started. And if it weren't for Cam and his vision and his heart and his determination to do something for Jesus, none of us would be having the experiences that we've had that have changed our lives so drastically and so remarkably. Bob and I met on tour, and I'm a gypsy, he's the explorer, and it was natural. It was just natural. And so far, it's been an okay marriage, huh, honey? We're doing good. We're going to celebrate 40 this year.
Wow.
And I just feel really fortunate that we've had all this time together and that we still have the same heart. What?
50.
50, I'm sorry. Well, no, I don't count the first 10. Yeah, that's right. 40 good years. 50, you're right, honey. I love you anyway. Honestly, if it weren't for this organization, if it weren't for Cam, if it weren't for the friends that we had in this realm, Bob and I would not have been together this long, I swear to you. Because there were things here that just happened that made us realize that we were better together. And so all of us are better together than individually, and we've served God accordingly and done what he's asked us to do. And I think if we were to go down the lines and take an inventory of everything that you guys have done since you were in Continentals for the first time, I think you'd be floored at how much is really there, and how far your influence has gone, and how much value you personally have in this world of Continentals. So thank you for all of your work. You guys do the feet on the ground stuff and make it happen, and are continuing to do it. And as a board member, I'm really proud of you. But as a Continental forever, I'm proud to be a part of this team. And that's the bada bing. Pass it to Bob.
Thank you. I commend all of you as well. This is a time when encouragement is really valuable to everybody. And hang on, let me unpin you. And I think that doing this kind of thing is really important. I'm an executive recruiter in a difficult economic market, and I spend my day talking to people, encouraging them as they work on their job searches. So, and then the other thing we're doing that's really fun is with our sons and daughter. On Sunday we had Sunday dinner over Zoom, and we got all connected. Everybody got to share how they were doing, kind of like we're doing here. And it really does work at the family level as well. So we've got 7 grandkids, another one that's scheduled to arrive on Friday. And we have one great grandson that just turned 1 year old. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Great.
And another great grandkid coming in October. So we'll have 7 grandchildren and 2 greats and 3 kids.
I have no greats. Just so you know.
We're ahead of you.
You always are ahead.
So we want to say thank you because we've known Cam since 1968 and commend you for this time. And thanks, Jim, for putting this all together. Do it again. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
We will. And we really appreciate you guys. Your input into the CGF board and just being on the journey is really, really awesome. So, Cher, are you really there? I see your name, but I don't see your face.
She just texted me. She said audio. She's in audio. I don't know whether she can hear her talk.
You have to do this.
Let me see. Yeah, you should be able to weigh in, Cher. Well, we'll try it again. Before Karen and I share an update, I will tell you, as soon as Cher dropped off, she emailed me that. You can't read it, can you? She says, "Tell everyone I love them," multiple exclamation points. I want to introduce somebody to you. You know, we talked about Mike Harcrow pioneering the Korean group, and then Julie obviously did that in Hungary, and Michael Mahoney went down to Chile. I want to introduce you. Our groups are all just killing it out there, doing amazing stuff. But I want to introduce you, hopefully, to Priscilla O'Shea from Chile.
Yay!
Tracy, there she is. We don't see your face yet, but there she is. Awesome.
Hi.
I don't know how many of you guys got to see the video that I sent you the link to. But I literally got it from Precy last night and was just so thrilled to be able to send it to you guys. Precy, we've been catching up here. Sorry, I called her Precy. Her name is Priscilla.
Yes.
Phenomenal director, killer voice. I went down for the 25th anniversary, what was it, 3 years ago, I think.
3 years ago, yes.
And down to Santiago and Valparaiso, and unbelievable talent in Chile. Just absolutely blew me away. And such a fun experience. But Precy, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit of your Continental experience and give us an update.
Okay, well, thank you everyone so much for having me. I don't think I've met everyone. I recognize a few faces, so hi Cam.
Hey.
And Liz, I know too. And it's just wonderful to be able to share with you today. And so thanks Jim for inviting me, and Karen over there. Hi. Well, just to be very brief, I saw my first, not really Continental group. It was the very first group that Michael Mahoney took to Chile in 1987. It was a group from his church, but it was very much in the Continental style, of course. And I was 10 years at the time. And I saw that, the energy, the passion, everything, the music. And I remember that I actually, in that same moment, I just said, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I really loved it. I started following the group everywhere. I was a little kid, so I had my parents take me everywhere. A couple years later, Michael arrived to Chile to initiate the ministry there, or here. And I was too young to join tours at the time. I was about 12 years old. So, but I joined a choir he formed for younger people. So I joined everything I could until I was old enough to, join the tours and so. So after Michael went back to the States, I started working with Gonzalo Gallardo, who was the director that took Michael's place here in Chile. And I was very blessed to help him with not only singing, but many other areas of the ministry, like administrative. So I did some recruiting and some booking and all the things that you already know. And also started translating the songs into Spanish. I had some musical background, so I did both, try to mix both and help in that way. So, and I've been in love with the ministry ever since. It's been my school. It's been, my training place. And my family, in many senses. I've met most of my best friends in the ministry. And it's just been amazing to see what God has done in the ministry throughout, all these years. Next year it'll be 30 years of the ministry in Chile.
Wow.
and it's just been an incredible ride. I've been part of everything. I never thought I would be in charge of the ministry right now and here in Chile, but a couple years ago, after this big we had a few years of pause that we didn't do much things, and then we organized some after a visit from Cam. Actually, we everything started going on again. We woke up a little bit and decided, hey, we want to do this 25th year anniversary thing. It would be a great way to relaunch the ministry, and just hearing testimonies of other people. Your visit, Cam, was such a meaningful time, because I did so much, of the work, like administrative work. It's not the funnest sometimes. So I think I have forgotten how amazing it was. I just remember the work. And when I started hearing all these testimonies of people that had, how the ministry had changed their lives, how God has changed their lives through the ministry, it was so encouraging. So we got together a little team and we said, okay, we need to celebrate this 25th anniversary thing as a way of relaunching the ministry. So we worked hard for it. It was a big project. And we had, the blessing of having Jim come and share those days with us. And after that, we had to, organize ourselves again to get going with the ministry, work things out. And 2 years ago, Jim and I asked me to, take the lead in the ministry here. So I've been doing this for 2 years, which is a very short time. But I have the blessing of working with an amazing team of people. They are committed, they are passionate about God and the gospel and the ministry. And that's about my story. So that's a little bit about me. It's what I've been doing in the ministry now.
Awesome. Well, you're doing a fantastic job. And one of the great things I learned from Cam, and I want you to stay with us here for the rest of the call. Karen and I are just going to share a little bit, and then want to hear from Cam. But one of the, when I was a vice president with Continentals and working with Nancy and International, and just some great days back in the 80s, I was part of looking at new directors and who to choose and who was qualified and stuff. And one of the greatest things I ever got from you, Cam, was, all the directors were very different. Some had lots of music degrees, some just had kind of natural talent and leadership ability, and then everybody in between. But the common denominator with all of them was, will anybody follow this person? That was the kind of the overriding thing with all those choices. And Prissy, that was you. After that visit in Chile, so many talented people there and passionate about the ministry, but in my gut, I knew, yeah, this is the lady that needs to be leading this. And so you've just done amazing work. And that video was just it brought a tear to our eyes last night. So perfect timing, by the way. Thanks for sending it last night. So a little bit about Karen and I. We're doing awesome. Our kids are Emily's 29, Max is 27. Sophie's 23. Sophie married her childhood sweetheart a little over a year ago, Cody. She was Tinkerbell at Disneyland, and then she retired from that and came back from Neverland and had a great time. And then Emily, our oldest, was scheduled to be married later this month on May 23rd. And Memorial Day weekend. And so, no, but up there, they look beautiful. So, they got married last week, had a beautiful ceremony, exchanging vows in a park setting, all equal, socially distanced. We were very good about that, but it was beautiful. And they both work with the Ministry of Teen Challenge here locally. Sophie is an esthetician. Matt, her husband Cody, works with Grimway Farms, large carrot distribution company here. And then our son Max is in Riverside and assistant manager at a huge restaurant down there. So we're blessed. Karen and I in December celebrated 34 years of marriage. Well, we celebrated 32 of them. A couple of them were kind of rough, but we've actually been married 34. So to commemorate, we both got matching sleeve tattoos. No, I'm just kidding, they're fake.
You're waiting so long to do that.
I know. I've had it on for 2 hours. We even rehearsed it. So we're grateful, and I told Cam at one point, I forget when it was, probably back in the mid 80s, but I just said, or maybe he said it to me, but I think I said I was born for this. And I really still feel that way. I love this ministry. One of the things I wanted to ask you all, but it would be a totally separate Zoom call and would take us about a day and a half to complete it.
We'll do it tomorrow.
But the question that I asked on the roundtable panels is, what is something that you learned from your Continental experience that makes you better at what you do today? And I know you can all relate to that. Your heads are nodding. And so I'm better at everything that I do because of my Continental experience. And I owe that to you, Cam. I really do. I'm a better worship leader. I'm a better slingshot associate. I'm a better movie producer. I'm a better person to lead CGF. And I owe so much to this ministry. And I'm so grateful. You probably all heard my story, but if you heard the roundtable, you did. But, you know, that time at the JP concert in Long Beach, when you asked me if I wanted to be an executive with the Continental organization someday, as a 17-year-old snot-nosed kid. And I said, of course. That one little sentence changed my life dramatically. I toured with Fred the next year, and then with Monty and Krista and so many others, and it's literally changed my life. And so that's part of the ripple effect. And it came out organically in all of your sharing here today from everybody. But let's just say collectively, we are so grateful to you. So, Cam, talk to us a little bit.
Well, first of all, Jim, congratulations on popping down to Chile and getting things going with Priscilla. I know they were in trouble, but your visit and your time with her has changed that whole ministry. And so she exists and they exist because you followed the plan. You did it. You really great. I loved hearing all your little stories. It's really great. I'm over here by myself on this beautiful island. We're stuck in home like everybody else, but it really hasn't changed my life. I walk my dog, I sit in my jacuzzi, I drink my coffee, I take a trip to the drugstore, the grocery store, gas station, swim once a day down the ocean. So my life hasn't really changed at all. So there you go. But Priscilla, your video that you sent with the 49 Chileans all singing in God We Trust, I hope you all saw that. It's pretty amazing. So what I did was I sent it off to Thurlow Spur. I wanted him to know that we were still alive and doing things. And he popped back a funny scripture to me yesterday. And it said, here's the scripture. He said, in due season, you will reap if you faint not. And what that means to me is, if you persevere and you keep going, you will reap. And it may take a while, but it will happen. And so that's the way Continentals has always been. We pursue, we don't give up, we push, we make things happen from nothing. And all of you are world changers, which is a good thing. And so I'm thinking last night when Jim said, he wanted me to say something, but really quickly, I'll just say that I graduated from college in 1959 and went to work for Youth for Christ in Lansing. In '62, I joined Thurlow Spur and the Spurlows in January, and I toured with him for 7 months. He got sick, I became the leader. And so I was discovered by all these Youth for Christ rallies across the country. And the big one, Portland, hired me. So fall of 1962, there I was in Portland, Oregon, thinking about starting the Continentals. And in that fall, I started recruiting. And by the time we got to the spring and toward the summer, we had a plan. We were going to go to Winona Lake, Indiana, and compete. Ken Wagner was on that tour. He played the trombone and was the boy preacher. That was our first effort. First Continental Tour, 1963. We did a bunch of tours there in Portland. I finished my master's at Lewis and Clark up there, then moved to California. First person I met, Ralph Carmichael. So it was my goal to start Continentals right away. So I was selling fuller brushes door to door, selling insurance, doing whatever I could do. I was substitute teaching from 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon every day, everything I could do. And then I would work music late at night. So anyway, we had that first tour in 1967. Were you on that tour, Danette? Yes, she was on the very first tour in 67. Let me see if were any of the rest of you on any of those first couple tours? I guess not. So
Bob joined on 68.
Huh?
Bob came on 68.
Right. Well, in 68, we went from one group to 3. And then Ken directed one, and Steve Hilson did the other, and we all went on the third one. In 69, we had 4, 70, we had 5. And then we were all part together of fainting not, of pushing ahead, of making it happen, of reaping. And it was working. It was really great. The early mid-70s, Christian artists came along, Solvay got discovered, and Jim's life got changed, which was a good thing. And so then we were all part of that. The international team started to happen in Britain first, and then in Europe, then later in Korea and other places around the world. And then in the 80s, we were doing 1,000 live concerts every year and probably had 20 tours. So we were all a part of reaping. Great, huh? And it still can happen. We're still reaping today, but you've got to do what that little verse said that Thurlow sent to me. It said, faint not. In other words, don't get tired. Keep pushing. They're still world changers. One of my favorite Psalms is number 92, and it says at the top, it's a good thing to praise the Lord and make music to your name, O Most High. And later on, it says, so people who do those things, when they're old, they'll stay green and fresh. That's you guys. And me too. We're still old, but we can still stay green. We can still stay fresh, and we can still keep moving ahead. There you go.
Awesome. We love you, Cam, so much. Thank you. Yeah, that deserves a round of applause. I know we're going on 2 hours here, and it's getting late in Europe, but just so great to be with you all. I
love to see you.
There's a phrase I keep on my wall here in front of me just as motivation, but Karen and I live in Bakersfield, and there's a lot of oil industry around here. And one of my friends who's a oil guy used the term proven but not recovered. And I said, wait, what does that mean? He says, well, it's when we have oil reserves that are proven. We know they're there, but we haven't tapped into it. They're not recovered. They're not exploited positively. And I thought, okay, I own that phrase now. That's us. That's our ministry. When we are proven over many, many years, continue to be, but we're just getting started. I don't think we've really even tapped into it. I mean, if you think of what's happening around the world right now, we have groups in Korea, Romania, Slovakia, Hungary, trying to rebuild some stuff out of Holland, Brazil, Chile, Costa Rica, Mexico, Puerto Rico. We're trying to rebuild. And as soon as this viral thing is over, Karen and I are going to Puerto Rico. I've been trying to get down there for months, and then this happened. Trying to rebuild it. Puerto Rico obviously has been hit hard by the hurricanes twice, and most of their board and a lot of their people moved to the mainland. Even the Ramon and Lolita Rodriguez moved to North Carolina. Everybody's gone, but there's still a lot of people there wanting to build their ministry again. So we're proven, but not recovered. We haven't tapped into all of it, and it's heartening to be here with you guys today. And I just love seeing your faces. If it's okay with you, I would like to post the recording on Facebook, because it will encourage a lot of Continental family around the world to let them know they're not alone.
Hey, Jim, can I just say one quick thing?
Yeah.
And this is, Chafee didn't pay me to say this, but if you have not listened to Solvay's recording of Give Me Jesus, let that wash over your soul today. It's one of the most beautiful things ever.
Amen. Amen.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been great to watch your work around Europe.
I didn't get that one. Give it to me. Get it in the mail, girl.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Can I do a shameless plug?
Sure, I'm about to as well.
Finances?
Go for it.
Yeah. I just want to say that in order for this to continue to have the ripple effect and be able to foster these international groups, we want to be there not just in thought leadership, but in funding, because most of them are underfunded. And it's just really important as we continue to herald the vision for Continental Global Foundation, we put our money where our heart is, and that we all invest whatever we can just to help fuel it, because that will make all the difference in the world. And Jim, you're probably more aware of how it makes a difference when we do send money to help equip these. And maybe Priscilla's got a great story too, but I just want to say as a board member, because of how deeply this ministry has affected you, don't shrink back from giving back. So that's it.
Can I tag on something to that too, really quick?
Yeah, go.
One of the things, since we're all here together, is awareness. Even when I went to the reunion with Brent and Sherry a few years ago, there are a lot of Continentals out there that have no idea that the foundation exists or that the ministry is still going internationally. So every chance you get, if you could just share that with people that are in our family and beyond, so that they know that it's still going on and that there is this need, so that we can support our international groups as much as possible. And if anybody has questions, just point in my direction on Facebook or whatever, any of us. But I particularly love staying in touch with our alumni and sharing what's going on. So I'd love to do that.
Yeah, if you go to continentalsglobalfoundation.org, you can see what's going on, but it'll also have links to the social media. We have Facebook and Instagram. It really does help when you share it and promote it, and drive people to that. So God bless you all. I hate to end it, but we're going to be doing more of these. Cam and I are going to do a roundtable with all of our international leaders. Precy's professionally is a interpreter, professional translator, so her English is impeccable, and so it was great to have her here. But she's representative of our other great leaders around in those other countries. So you'll see some of those, and I want to have some other roundtables too. I've had a bunch of Nashville people bugging me about wanting to be a part of one, so we'll probably do a Nashville-focused one. Tom Reed and some other folks are real excited about doing that. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun, and thanks for being here. Love you all.
Together.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I look forward to seeing you out there somewhere, and if you come over here, let me know you're coming. I've got some Airbnb suites I know you'd enjoy being here.
All of us will be there in 48 hours.
There you go. Come on. Right now you're sequestered for 14 days, but once this is over.
Sounds good. See you in Kauai, everybody.
Bless you.
Love you all.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.